I, 31M, was going to propose to my girlfriend, 29F, until she told me she's moving across the country for work. My girlfriend and I have been together for 4 years. She's my best friend, my rock, and I had planned to propose to her last weekend during a trip to the mountains, where we had our first getaway together. I had everything planned out perfectly: the ring, the moment, even a little speech about how I couldn't imagine my life without her. But the night before we left, she told me she got a huge promotion. One that required her to move across the country. She was ecstatic. She had been working toward this for years, and it was a dream opportunity, one that would set her up for the career she always wanted. I was proud of her. I still am. But the moment she told me, I felt like my entire world tilted. She assumed I would come with her. She said we'd find a new place together, that I could find a job in the new city, that this was our fresh start. The problem is, my career is here. My family is here. I've built a life that I love, and while I want to be with her, I don't know if I can just uproot everything for her job. I didn't propose that weekend. I couldn't. Instead, I spent the entire trip pretending to be happy while internally spiraling. She hasn't noticed anything wrong, she's too busy making plans for her big move. I don't know what to do. I love her, but do I love her enough to leave everything I've worked for behind? Do I propose and take the leap with her? Or do I let her go and hope we can make long distance work? I feel like my future changed overnight, and I wasn't ready for it. Update: I made my choice. First of all, thank you to everyone who took the time to respond. I read every comment, every piece of advice, and it really helped me work through my thoughts. After days of sleepless nights, I finally sat down with my girlfriend and had the hard conversation I had been avoiding. I told her how much I love her, how proud I am of her, but also how I felt like she had made this decision without me. She never even asked if I wanted to move, she just assumed I would. At first, she was shocked. She said she thought it was obvious that we'd do this together, that our future was always going to be a shared one. But when I told her that I wasn't sure if I could leave my life behind, she looked devastated. We talked for hours, going back and forth, weighing options. Long distance? She didn't want that. Moving later? Her job required her to be there within a month. Finding a compromise? There wasn't one that satisfied us both. In the end, she said something that broke my heart: I don't want you to come with me if it's not something you truly want. And that's when I knew. I couldn't go. Not like this. Not with so much doubt in my heart. So, we made the hardest decision we've ever had to make. We broke up. We spent the next few days together, saying our goodbyes in the way only two people who still love each other can. There were a lot of tears, a lot of what-ifs, and a lot of holding on to each other for just a little longer. She left yesterday. And I'm sitting in our now half-empty apartment, staring at the ring that will never be worn. I don't regret my decision, but I do regret that this is how our story ended. Some love stories don't end because of betrayal or falling out of love. Sometimes two people just want different things. And that's the hardest kind of goodbye. Update: she wants to come back, but I don't know if I can take her back. It's been 2 days since she left. 2 days since I said goodbye to the woman I thought I would spend the rest of my life with. 2 days since I sat in our half-empty apartment, staring at the ring that will never be worn. And then today, I got a call. She was crying. At first, I panicked, thinking something horrible had happened. But then she told me, the company retracted their offer. Apparently, there was some internal restructuring, and the position she was supposed to take was suddenly no longer available. They gave her a severance for the inconvenience, but that didn't change the fact that she had just left everything behind for nothing. And now, she wants to come back. She asked if we could talk, said she regretted leaving, and that maybe this was a sign that she was never supposed to go in the first place. She told me she loved me, that she missed me, and that she wanted to come home. And here's the thing, I miss her too. God, I miss her so much it hurts. But I don't know if I can just take her back like nothing happened. When she made the decision to move, she didn't really give me a choice. She assumed I would follow, like my life, my career, my dreams didn't matter as much as hers. She was so focused on her new future that she didn't stop to consider if I wanted the same one. And now that her plans have fallen apart, she suddenly wants to come back, like we can just pick up where we left off. I don't know what to do. Part of me wants to run to her, to hold her, to tell her that everything is okay. But another part of me is scared. What if another opportunity comes along? What if, a year from now, she gets another job offer and we go through this all over again? I haven't responded yet. I told her I needed time to think. I love her. That hasn't changed. But I don't know if I can trust that she won't leave me behind again. What if taking her back only sets me up for more heartbreak down the line? Update: I just learned why she took the job, and now I don't know what to think. I was already struggling with whether or not to take her back, but now I feel like my entire perspective just shifted. Earlier today, one of her closest friends reached out to me. At first, I thought she was just going to try and convince me to take her back, but instead, she told me something I never knew: the real reason my ex took the job. Apparently, she had been struggling financially way more than I realized. She had been sending money to her mom, who had been dealing with major medical expenses. I knew her mom had some health issues, but I had no idea how bad it was. My ex had been helping cover treatments, medications, and hospital visits, all while trying to keep up with her own expenses. She never told me any of this. Her friend said that when this job opportunity came up, she saw it as her way out. A way to finally earn enough money to support herself and help her mother without drowning in stress. That's why she jumped at the chance, why she was so quick to assume I'd follow, because in her mind, she wasn't just chasing her dream, she was saving her family. And now I feel like an idiot. Here I was, thinking she had chosen her career over me, that she had prioritized her ambitions over our relationship. But in reality, she was trying to keep her head above water, trying to be the daughter she felt she needed to be. Now I don't know what to do. On one hand, this changes everything. She didn't leave me because she didn't care, she left because she felt she had to. She was under so much pressure, and I wasn't even aware of it. But on the other hand, she still didn't tell me. She made a life-altering decision without me. She assumed I would follow her without even explaining why it was so important. She didn't give me the chance to help her, to be there for her, to support her in a way that didn't involve uprooting my entire life. And now I wonder, if I take her back, will this happen again? The moment life gets hard, will she keep secrets from me instead of facing things together? I hate this. I hate feeling like I'm being pulled in two different directions. I love her. That hasn't changed. But I'm starting to wonder if love is enough. Update: we finally talked, and I don't know if love is enough. Tonight, she came over. I wasn't sure if I was ready to see her, but I knew we couldn't keep avoiding this conversation. I had too many questions, too much confusion, too much pain that I couldn't keep bottled up anymore. So I told her to come over, and she did. When I opened the door, she looked tired. Not just physically, but emotionally drained, like she hadn't slept in days. Her eyes were puffy, probably from crying. I wanted to reach out, to hold her, but I kept my distance. We sat down on the couch, our couch, the one we used to cuddle on, the one where we had so many late-night talks about our future. And for a moment, neither of us spoke. Then, she broke the silence. "I'm sorry," she whispered. Her voice cracked, and I could already see tears forming in her eyes. "I should have told you. I should have let you in." I didn't say anything right away. I just let her talk. She told me everything. She told me how terrified she had been watching her mother's health decline, how every hospital bill felt like a ticking time bomb. She told me how she had maxed out her credit card, how she had drained her savings, how she would go to bed at night wondering if her mom would still be there in the morning. She told me how, when she got the job offer, it felt like the only way out. How she didn't think she had time to sit down and have a discussion about it, because in her mind, there was no choice. She had to take it. And then she looked at me, tears streaming down her face, and said, "I never meant to leave you behind." I felt my chest tighten. I had been holding on to so much anger, so much resentment, but now I just felt sad. Sad that she had been carrying all of this alone. Sad that she didn't trust me enough to share her burdens. Sad that, even though we loved each other, it still wasn't enough to keep us together. "I would have helped you," I finally said, my voice barely above a whisper. "I would have done anything to help you." She nodded, wiping her face. "I know. And that's why I didn't tell you. Because I knew you would have given up everything to take care of me, and I didn't want that. I didn't want to drag you down with me. I closed my eyes, trying to process everything. I understood her now, I really did. But it didn't erase the pain. It didn't change the fact that she had made the biggest decision of our lives without me. I still love you, she said, her voice trembling. I love you so much, and I want to fix this. I want to make things right. But I need to know if you can forgive me. I looked at her, at the woman I had planned to marry, the woman I had built my life around. And for the first time, I realized something heartbreaking. I still loved her. But love wasn't the problem. Trust was. Final update: we're taking it slow, and for the first time, I feel hopeful. We talked again. This time, it wasn't filled with tears or heartbreak, it was just real. After our last conversation, I couldn't stop thinking about everything. About her, about us, about whether love alone was enough to rebuild what we lost. I kept turning it over in my head, wondering if we had just been fooling ourselves, if we had reached the end of our road. But despite everything, I couldn't ignore one simple fact: I still wanted her in my life. So I asked her to meet me for coffee. Not to have another emotionally charged, gut-wrenching discussion, but just to be together in a way that wasn't drowning in sadness. She agreed immediately. When I saw her at the cafe, she looked nervous. But when we sat down, it felt natural. Like two people who had been through hell but still wanted to find a way back to each other. We talked about normal things: work, our friends, a dumb show we used to watch together. And for the first time in weeks, I felt light, and I didn't know if we could get that back. Final update: we're taking it slow, and for the first time, I feel hopeful. We talked again. This time, it wasn't filled with tears or heartbreak, it was just real. After our last conversation, I couldn't stop thinking about everything. About her, about us, about whether love alone was enough to rebuild what we lost. I kept turning it over in my head, wondering if we had just been fooling ourselves, if we had reached the end of our road. But despite everything, I couldn't ignore one simple fact: I still wanted her in my life. So I asked her to meet me for coffee. Not to have another emotionally charged, gut-wrenching discussion, but just to be together in a way that wasn't drowning in sadness. She agreed immediately. When I saw her at the cafe, she looked nervous. But when we sat down, it felt natural. Like two people who had been through hell but still wanted to find a way back to each other. We talked about normal things: work, our friends, a dumb show we used to watch together. And for the first time in weeks, I felt light. Then, somewhere in between sips of coffee, she hesitated before saying, "Would you ever want to go on a date? A real one. No pressure. Just to see where we stand?" I won't lie, part of me was scared. I was afraid of getting hurt again, of putting myself back in a place where I could be blindsided. But at the same time, I wanted to try. So I said yes. We're taking it slow. No labels, no rushing, just seeing where this goes. I know we have a lot of work to do. There's still a part of me that's guarded, that wonders if we can truly get back to what we were. But for the first time, I feel hopeful. We also talked about her career, about how she felt stuck and afraid of making another mistake. I offered to help her look for a better paying job, something that would actually support her without forcing her to sacrifice everything else. She was hesitant at first, she still struggles with accepting help, but eventually, she nodded. "I don't want to keep making decisions alone," she admitted. "I want us to be a team again." Hearing that meant more than I can explain. So yeah, we're not back together yet. And maybe we never will be in the way we once were. But we're talking. We're trying. And right now, that's enough.